أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. يا شعيب قال الملأ الذين استكبروا من قومه لنخرجنك يا شعيب والذين آمنوا معك من قريتنا أو لتعودون في ملتنا قال أول كنا كارهين قد افترينا على الله كذبا إن عدنا في ملتكم بعد إذ نجنا الله منها وما يكون لنا أن نعود فيها إلا أن يشاء الله ربنا وسع ربنا كل شيء علما على الله توكلنا ربنا افتح بيننا وبين قومنا بالحق وأنت خير الفاتحين وقال الملأ الذين كفروا من قومه لئن اتبعتم شعيبا إنكم إذا لخاسرون فأخذتهم الرجفة فأصبحوا في دارهم جاثمين الذين كذبوا شعيبا كأن لم يغنوا فيها الذين كذبوا شعيبا كانوا هم الخاسرين فتولى عنهم وقال يا قوم لقد أبلغتكم رسالات ربي ونصحت لكم فكيف أسى على قوم كافرين وما أرسلنا في قرية من النبي إلا أخذنا أهلها بالبأساء والضراء لعلهم يضرعون ثم بدلنا مكان السيئات الحسنة حتى عفوا وقالوا قد مس آباءنا الضراء والسراء فأخذناهم بغتة وهم لا يشعرون ولو أن أهل القرى آمنوا واتقوا لفتحنا عليهم بركات من السماء والأرض ولكننا كذبوا فأخذناهم بما كانوا يكسبون أفآمن أهل القرى أن يأتيهم بأسنا بياتا وهم نائمون أوأمن أهل القرى أن يأتيهم بأسنا ضحى وهم يلعبون أفأمنوا مكر الله فلا يأمن مكر الله إلا القوم الخاسرون أولم يهد للذين يرثون الأرض من بعد أهلها أن لو نشاء أصبناهم بذنوبهم ونطبع على قلوبهم فهم لا يسمعون تلك القرى نقص عليك من أنبائها ولقد جاءتهم رسلهم بالبينات فما كانوا ليؤمنوا بما كذبوا من قبل كذلك يطبع الله على قلوب الكافرين وما وجدنا لأكثرهم من أحد وإن وجدنا أكثرهم لفاسقين ثم بعثنا من بعدهم موسى بآياتنا إلى فرعون وملئه فظلموا بها فانظر كيف كان عاقبة المفسدين وقال موسى يا فرعون إني رسول من رب العالمين حقيق على ألا أقول على الله إلا الحق قد جئتكم ببينات من ربكم فأرسل معي بني إسرائيل قال إن كنت جئت بآية فأتي بها إن كنت من الصادقين فألقى عصاه فإذا هي ثعبان مبين ونزع يده فإذا هي بيضاء للناظرين قال الملأ من قوم فرعون إن هذا لساحر عليم يريد أن يخرجكم من أرضكم فماذا تأمرون قالوا أرجه وأخاه وأرسل في المدائن حاشرين يأتوك بكل ساحر عليم وجاء السحرة فرعون قالوا إن لنا لأجرا إن كنا نحن الغالبين قال نعم وإنكم لمن المقربين قالوا يا موسى إما أن تلقي وإما أن نكون نحن الملقين قال ألقوا فلم قالوا
قال ألقوا فلما ألقوا
فلما ألقوا سحروا أعين الناس واسترهبوهم وجاءوا بسحر عظيم وأوحينا إلى موسى أن ألقي عصاك فإذا هي تلقف ما يأفكون فوقع الحق وبطل ما كانوا يعملون فغلبوا هنالك وانقلبوا صاغرين وألقي السحرة ساجدين قالوا آمنا برب العالمين. صدق الله العلي العظيم.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. رب موسى وهارون. قال فرعون آمنتم به قبل أن آذن لكم إن هذا لمكر مكرتموه في المدينة لتخرجوا منها أهلها فسوف تعلمون. لأقطعن أيديكم وأرجلكم من خلاف ثم لأصلبنكم أجمعين. قالوا إنا إلى ربنا منقلبون. وما تنقم منا إلا أن آمنا بآيات ربنا لما جاءتنا. ربنا أفرغ علينا صبرا وتوفنا مسلمين. وقال الملأ من قوم فرعون أتذر موسى وقومه ليفسدوا في الأرض ويذرك وآلهتك. قال سنقتل أبناءهم ونستحيي نساءكم وإنا فوقهم قاهرون. قال موسى لقومه استعينوا بالله واصبروا إن الأرض لله يورثها من يشاء من عباده والعاقبة للمتقين. قالوا أوذينا من قبل أن تأتينا ومن بعد ما جئتنا. قال عسى ربكم أن يهلك عدوكم ويستخلفكم في الأرض فينظر كيف تعملون. ولقد أخذنا آل فرعون بالسنين ونقص من الثمرات لعلهم يذكرون. فإذا جاءتهم الحسنة قالوا لنا هذه وإن تصبهم سيئة يطيروا بموسى ومن معه ألا إنما طائرهم عند الله ولكن أكثرهم لا يعلمون. وقالوا مهما تأتنا به من آية لتسحرنا بها فما نحن لك بمؤمنين. فأرسلنا عليهم الطوفان والجراد والقمل والضفادع والدم آيات مفصلات فاستكبروا وكانوا قوما مجرمين. ولما وقع عليهم الرجز قالوا يا موسى ادع لنا ربك بما عهد عندك لئن كشفت عنا الرجز لنؤمنن لك ونرسلن معك بني إسرائيل. فلما كشفنا عنهم الرجز إلى أجل هم بالغوه إذا هم ينكثون. فانتقمنا منهم فأغرقناهم في اليم بأنهم كذبوا بآياتنا وكانوا عنها غافلين. وعرفنا القوم الذين كانوا يستضعفون مشارق في الأرض ومغاربها التي باركنا فيها وتمت كلمة ربك الحسنى على بني إسرائيل بما صبروا ودمرنا ما كان يصنع فرعون وقومه وما كانوا يعرشون. وجاوزنا ببني إسرائيل البحر فأتوا على قوم يعكفون على أصنام لهم. قالوا يا موسى لنا إلها كما لهم آلهة قال إنكم قوم تجهلون إن هؤلاء متبر ما هم فيه وباطل ما كانوا يعملون قال أغير الله أبغيكم إلها وهو فضلكم على العالمين وإذ أنجيناكم من آل فرعون يسومونكم سوء العذاب يقتلون أبناءكم ويستحيون نساءكم وفي ذلكم بلاء من ربكم عظيم وواعدنا موسى 30 ليلة وأتممناها ب10 فتم ميقات ربه 40 ليلة وقال موسى لأخيه هارون اخلفني في قومي وأصلح ولا تتبع سبيل المفسدين ولما جاء موسى لميقاتنا وكلمه ربه قال رب أرني أنظر إليك قال لن تراني ولكن انظر إلى الجبل فإن استقر مكانه فسوف تراني فلما تجلى ربه للجبل جعله دكا وخر موسى صعقا فلما أفاق قال سبحانك تبت إليك وأنا أول المؤمنين قال يا موسى إني أصطفيتك على الناس برسالاتي وبكلامي فخذ ما آتيتك وكن من الشاكرين فكتبنا له في الألواح من كل شيء موعظة وتفصيلا لكل شيء فخذها بقوة وأمر قومك يأخذوا بأحسنها سأريكم دار الفاسقين سأصرف عن آياتي الذين يتكبرون في الأرض بغير الحق وإن يروا كل آية لا يؤمنوا بها وإن يروا سبيل الرشد لا يتخذوه سبيلا وإن يروا سبيل الغي يتخذوه سبيلا ذلك بأنهم كذبوا بآياتنا وكانوا عنها غافلين والذين كذبوا بآياتنا ولقاء الآخرة حبطت أعمالهم هل يجزون إلا ما كانوا يعملون واتخذ قوم موسى من بعده من حليهم عجلا جسدا له خوار ألم يروا أنه لا يكلمهم ولا يهديهم سبيلا اتخذوه وكانوا ظالمين ولما سقط في أيديهم ورأوا أنهم قد ضلوا قالوا لئن لم يرحمنا ربنا ويغفر لنا لنكونن من الخاسرين ولما رجع موسى إلى قومه غضبان أسفا قال بئس ما خلفتموني من بعدي أعجلتم أمر ربكم وألقى الألواح وأخذ برأس أخيه يجره إليه قال ابن أم إن القوم استضعفوني وكادوا يقتلونني فلا تشمت بي الأعداء ولا تجعلني مع القوم الظالمين. قال رب اغفر لي ولأخي وأدخلنا في رحمتك وأنت أرحم الراحمين. إن الذين اتخذوا العجل سينالهم غضب من ربهم وذلة في الحياة الدنيا وكذلك نجزي المفترين. والذين عملوا السيئات ثم تابوا من بعدها وآمنوا إن ربك من بعدها لغفور رحيم. ولما سكت عن موسى الغضب أخذ الألواح وفي نسختها هدى ورحمة للذين هم لربهم يرهبون. واختار موسى قومه 70 رجلا لميقاتنا فلما أخذتهم الرجفة قال رب لو شئت أهلكتهم من قبل وإياي أتهلكنا بما فعل السفهاء منا إن هي إلا فتنتك تذل بها من تشاء وتهدي من تشاء أنت ولينا فاغفر لنا وارحمنا وأنت غير الغافرين. واكتب لنا في هذه الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة هدنا إليك. قال عذابي أصيب به من أشاء ورحمتي وسعت كل شيء فسأكتبها للذين يتقون ويؤتون الزكاة والذين هم بآياتنا يؤمنون. الذين يتبعون الرسول النبي الأمي الذين يجدونه مكتوبا عندهم في التوراة والإنجيل يأمرهم بالمعروف وينهاهم عن المنكر ويحل لهم الطيبات ويحرم عليهم الخبائث ويضع عنهم إصرهم والأغلال التي كانت عليهم. فالذين آمنوا به وعزروه ونصروه واتبعوا النور الذي أنزل معه أولئك هم المفلحون. قل يا أيها الناس إني رسول الله إليكم جميعا الذي له ملك السماوات والأرض لا إله إلا هو يحيي ويميت. فآمنوا بالله ورسوله النبي الأمي الذي يؤمن بالله وكلماته واتبعوه لعلكم تهتدون. ومن قوم موسى أمة يهدون بالحق وبه يعدلون. وقطعناهم أثنتا عشرة أسباطا أمما وأوحينا إلى موسى إذ استسقاه قومه أن اضرب بعصاك الحجر فانبجست منه 12 عينا قد علم كل أناس مشربهم وظللنا عليهم الغمام وأنزلنا عليهم المن والسلوى كلوا من طيبات ما رزقناكم وما ظلمونا ولكن كانوا أنفسهم يظلمون. وإذ قيل لهم اسكنوا هذه القرية وكلوا منها حيث شئتم وقولوا حطة وادخلوا الباب سجدا نغفر لكم خطيئاتكم سنزيد المحسنين فبدل الذين ظلموا منهم قولا غير الذي قيل لهم فأرسلنا عليهم رجزا من السماء بما كانوا يظلمون واسألهم عن القرية التي كانت حاضرة البحر إذ يعدون في السبت إذ تأتيهم حيتانهم يوم سبتهم شرعا ويوم لا يسبتون لا تأتيهم كذلك نبلوهم بما كانوا يفسقون صدق الله العلي العظيم.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. Ahsan, jazakumullah to both of you. Thank you very much for those beautiful readings. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. وإذ قالت أمة منهم لم تعظون قوما الله مهلكهم أو معذبهم عذابا شديدا قالوا معذرة إلى ربكم ولعلكم يتقون فلما نسوا ما ذكروا به أنجينا الذين ينهون عن السوء وأخذنا الذين ظلموا بعذاب بئيس بما كانوا يفسقون فلما عتوا عما نهوا عنه قلنا لهم كونوا قردة خاسئين وإذ تأذن ربك ليبعثن عليهم إلى يوم القيامة من يسومهم سوء العذاب إن ربك لسريع العقاب وإنه لغفور رحيم وقطعناهم في الأرض أمما منهم الصالحون ومنهم دون ذلك وبلوناهم بالحسنات والسيئات لعلهم يرجعون فخلف من بعدهم خلف ورثوا الكتاب يأخذون عرض هذا الأدنى ويقولون سيغفر لنا وإن يأتهم عرض مثله يأخذوه ألم يؤخذ عليهم ميثاق الكتاب ألا يقولوا على الله إلا الحق ودرسوا ما فيه والدار الآخرة خير للذين يتقون أفلا تعقلون والذين يمسكون بالكتاب وأقاموا الصلاة إنا لا نضيع أجر المصلحين وإذ نتقنا الجبل فوقهم كأنه ظلة وظنوا أنه واقع بهم خذوا ما آتيناكم بقوة واذكروا ما فيه لعلكم تتقون وإذ أخذ ربك من بني آدم من ظهورهم ذريتهم وأشهدهم على أنفسهم ألست بربكم قالوا بلى شهدنا أن تقولوا يوم القيامة إنا كنا عن هذا غافلين أو تقولوا إنما أشرك آباؤنا من قبل وكنا ذرية من بعدهم أفتهلكنا بما فعل المبطلون وكذلك نفصل الآيات ولعلهم يرجعون واتل عليهم نبأ الذي آتيناه آياتنا فانسلخ منها فأتبعه الشيطان فكان من الغاوين ولو شئنا لرفعناه بها ولكنه أخلد إلى الأرض واتبع هواه فمثله كمثل الكلب إن تحمل عليه يلهث أو تتركه يلهث ذلك مثل القوم الذين كذبوا بآياتنا فاقصص القصص لعلهم يتفكرون ساء مثلا القوم الذين كذبوا بآياتنا وأنفسهم كانوا يظلمون من يهد الله فهو المهتدي ومن يضلل فأولئك هم الخاسرون ولقد ذرأنا لجهنم كثيرا من الجن والإنس لهم قلوب لا يفقهون بها ولهم أعين لا يبصرون بها ولهم آذان لا يسمعون بها أولئك كالأنعام بل هم أضل أولئك هم الغافلون ولله الأسماء الحسنى فادعوه بها وذروا الذين يلحدون في أسمائه سيجزون ما كانوا يعملون وممن خلقنا أمة يهدون بالحق وبه يعدلون والذين كذبوا بآياتنا سنستدرجهم من حيث لا يعلمون وأملي لهم إن كيدي متين أولم يتفكروا ما بصاحبهم من جنة إن هو إلا نذير مبين أولم ينظروا في ملكوت السماوات والأرض وما خلق الله من شيء وأن عسى أن يكون قد اقترب أجلهم فبأي حديث بعده يؤمنون من يضلل الله فلا هادي له ويذرهم في طغيانهم يعمهون يسألونك عن الساعة أيان مرساها قل إنما علمها عند ربي لا يجليها لوقتها إلا هو ثقلت في السماوات والأرض لا تأتيكم إلا بغتة يسألونك كأنك حفي عنها قل إنما علمها عند الله ولكن أكثر الناس لا يعلمون قل لا أملك لنفسي نفعا ولا ضرا إلا ما شاء الله ولو كنت أعلم الغيب لاستكثرت من الخير وما مسني السوء إن أنا إلا نذير وبشير لقوم يؤمنون هو الذي خلقكم من نفس واحدة وجعل منها زوجها ليسكن إليها فلما تغشاها حملت حملا خفيفا فمرت به فلما أثقلت دعوا الله ربهما لئن آتيتنا صالحا لنكونن من الشاكرين فلما آتاهما صالحا جعلا له شركاء فيما آتاهما فتعالى الله عما يشركون أيشركون ما لا يخلق شيئا وهم يخلقون ولا يستطيعون لهم نصرا ولا أنفسهم ينصرون وإن تدعوهم إلى الهدى لا يتبعوكم سواء عليكم أدعوتموهم أم أنتم صامتون إن الذين تدعون من دون الله عباد أمثالكم فادعوهم فليستجيبوا لكم إن كنتم صادقين ألهم أرجل يمشون بها أم لهم أيدي يبطشون بها أم لهم أعين يبصرون بها أم لهم آذان يسمعون بها قل ادعوا شركاءكم ثم كيدون فلا تنظرون إن وليي الله الذي نزل الكتاب وهو يتولى الصالحين والذين تدعون من دونه لا يستطيعون نصركم ولا أنفسهم ينصرون وإن تدعوهم إلى الهدى لا يسمعوا وتراهم ينظرون إليك وهم لا يبصرون خذ العفو وأمر بالعرف وأعرض عن الجاهلين وإما ينزغنك من الشيطان نزغ فاستعذ بالله إنه سميع عليم إن الذين اتقوا إذا مسهم طائف من الشيطان تذكروا فإذا هم مبصرون وإخوانهم يمدونهم في الغي ثم لا يقصرون وإذا لم تأتهم بآية قالوا لولا اجتبيتها قل إنما أتبع ما يوحى إلي من ربي هذا بصائر من ربكم وهدى ورحمة لقوم يؤمنون وإذا قرئ القرآن فاستمعوا له وأنصتوا لعلهم ترحمون وإذا قرئ القرآن فاستمعوا له وأنصتوا لعلكم ترحمون واذكر ربك في نفسك تضرعا وخيفة ودون الجهر من القول بالغدو والآصال ولا تكن من الغافلين إن الذين عند ربك لا يستكبرون عن عبادته ويسبحونه وله يسجدون بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم يسألونك عن الأنفال قل الأنفال لله والرسول فاتقوا الله وأصلحوا ذات بينكم وأطيعوا الله ورسوله إن كنتم مؤمنين إنما المؤمنون الذين إذا ذكر الله وجلت قلوبهم وإذا تليت عليهم آياته زادتهم إيمانا وعلى ربهم يتوكلون الذين يقيمون الصلاة ومما رزقناهم ينفقون أولئك هم المؤمنون حقا لهم درجات عند ربهم ومغفرة ورزق كريم كما أخرجك ربك من بيتك بالحق وإن فريقا من المؤمنين لكارهون يجادلونك في الحق بعدما تبين كأنما يساقون إلى الموت وهم ينظرون وإذ يعدكم الله إحدى الطائفتين أنها لكم وتودون أن غير ذات الشوكة تكون لكم ويريد الله أن يحق الحق بكلماته ويقطع دابر الكافرين ليحق الحق ويبطل الباطل ولو كره المجرمون إذ تستغيثون ربكم فاستجاب لكم أني ممدكم بألف من الملائكة مردفين وما جعله الله إلا بشرى ولتطمئن به قلوبكم وما النصر إلا من عند الله إن الله عزيز حكيم إذ يغشيكم النعاس أمنة منه وينزل عليكم من السماء ماء ليطهركم به ويذهب عنكم رجز الشيطان وليربط على قلوبكم ويثبت به الأقدام إذ يوحي ربك إلى الملائكة أني معكم فثبتوا الذين آمنوا سألقي في قلوب الذين كفروا الرعب فاضربوا فوق الأعناق واضربوا منهم كل بنان ذلك بأنهم شاقوا الله ورسوله ومن يشاقق الله ورسوله فإن الله شديد العقاب ذلكم فذوقوه وأن للكافرين عذاب النار يا أيها الذين آمنوا إذا لقيتم الذين كفروا زحفا يا أيها الذين آمنوا إذا لقيتم الذين كفروا زحفا فلا تولوهم الأدبار ومن يولهم يومئذ دبره إلا متحرفا لقتال أو متحيزا إلى فئة فقد باء بغضب من الله ومأواه جهنم وبئس المصير فلم تقتلوهم ولكن الله قتلهم وما رميت إذ رميت ولكن الله رمى وليبلي المؤمنين منه بلاء حسنا إن الله سميع عليم ذلكم وأن الله موهن كيد الكافرين إن تستفتحوا فقد جاءكم الفتح وإن تنتهوا فهو خير لكم وإن تعودوا نعد ولن تغني عنكم فئتكم شيئا ولو كثرت وأن الله مع المؤمنين. يا أيها الذين آمنوا أطيعوا الله ورسوله ولا تولوا عنه وأنتم تسمعون ولا تكونوا كالذين قالوا سمعنا وهم لا يسمعون. إن شر الدواب عند الله الصم البكم الذين لا يعقلون ولو علم الله فيهم خيرا لأسمعهم ولو أسمعهم لتولوا وهم معرضون. يا أيها الذين آمنوا استجيبوا لله وللرسول إذا دعاكم لما يحييكم واعلموا أن الله يحول بين المرء وقلبه وأنه إليه تحشرون واتقوا فتنة لا تصيبن الذين ظلموا منكم خاصة واعلموا أن الله شديد العقاب. واذكروا إذ أنتم قليل مستضعفون في الأرض تخافون أن يتخطفكم الناس فآواكم وأيدكم بنصره ورزقكم من الطيبات لعلكم تشكرون. يا أيها الذين آمنوا لا تخونوا الله والرسول وتخونوا أماناتكم وأنتم تعلمون واعلموا أنما أموالكم وأولادكم فتنة وأن الله عنده أجر عظيم. يا أيها الذين آمنوا إن تتقوا الله يجعل لكم فرقانا ويكفر عنكم سيئاتكم ويغفر لكم والله ذو الفضل العظيم. وإذ يمكر بك الذين كفروا ليثبتوك أو يقتلوك أو يخرجوك ويمكرون ويمكر الله والله خير الماكرين. وإذا تتلى عليهم آياتنا قالوا قد سمعنا لو نشاء لقلنا مثل هذا إن هذا إلا أساطير الأولين. وإذ قالوا اللهم إن كان هذا هو الحق من عندك فأمطر علينا حجارة من السماء أو ائتنا بعذاب أليم. وما كان الله ليعذبهم وأنت فيهم وما كان الله معذبهم وهم يستغفرون. وما لهم ألا يعذبهم الله وهم يصدون عن المسجد الحرام وما كانوا أولياءه إن أولياؤه إلا المتقون ولكن أكثرهم لا يعلمون. وما كان صلاتهم عند البيت إلا مكاء وتصدية فذوقوا العذاب بما كنتم تكفرون. إن الذين كفروا ينفقون أموالهم ليصدوا عن سبيل الله فسينفقونها ثم تكون عليهم حسرة ثم يغلبون والذين كفروا إلى جهنم يحشرون. ليميز الله الخبيث من الطيب ويجعل الخبيث بعضه على بعض فيركمه جميعا فيجعله في جهنم أولئك هم الخاسرون. قل للذين كفروا إن ينتهوا يغفر لهم ما قد سلف وإن يعودوا فقد مضت سنة الأولين. وقاتلوهم حتى لا تكون فتنة ويكون الدين كله لله فإن انتهوا فإن الله بما يعملون بصير وإن تولوا فاعلموا أن الله مولاكم نعم المولى ونعم النصير. صدق الله العلي العظيم. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Tonight, inshallah, we are going to start the discussion of the short vowels. So far, we have covered a few lessons on the alphabet, how to make uppercase and lowercase letters, and how to join the letters. And in this lesson, we will start learning about the short vowels. We have, as for the short vowels, 3 short vowels. There are 3, and each short vowel has a special name. One is called fatha. So we write this as FAT-HA because we want to make sure we don't pronounce the T and H together. It's not fatha, it's fatha, fatha. One is called fatha, the second is called kasra, and the third is dhamma. So let's see what each one of these short vowels do. Now, just as the letters have a special shape for each one of them, the short vowels are special markings that are written on top of the letters or underneath the letters, and they tell us what kind of vowel the letter should be read with. For example, we have here this small marking on top of the ba. Of course, this letter here in red is the ba, and this small dash that you see on top of the ba, this is called fatha. This dash is called fatha, and it sits on top of a letter. No matter what letter it's on, it's always on top of the letter. Next, we have the kasra. We look at this blue ba here, and underneath it, we have the same kind of dash, but it's underneath the ba. If this dash is on top of the ba, then we call it fatha. And if it's underneath the ba, then it's called kasra. And lastly, we have dhamma. As you see here in the green ba, there is this small waw. You remember the letter waw? This small waw that goes on top of a letter, this is called dhamma. And the dhamma is always on top of a letter, never under a letter. So now, what does each one of these vowel markings do? The fatha, this dash marking that goes on top of a letter, this gives an a vowel sound to a letter. What is the sound of the fatha? It is a. Next we have the kasra. What does it do to a letter? It gives the letter an I vowel sound. I. The kasra gives an I sound. Next we have the dhamma. What does the dhamma do for a letter? It gives it an O sound. O. Like we have the double O in the word wood. This is the same sound as the dhamma. O. So the sound, the vowel sound of the fatha is a. The vowel sound of the kasra is I. And the vowel sound of the dhamma is O. So now let's see how we read these when they go on top of the letter. So here we have an alif. We've written it 3 times. First is with a fatha. So an alif written with a fatha, how do we recite it? We say a. Very simple. Because the consonant sound of the alif is a. And we put a fatha on it, we say a. Because the fatha gives an a vowel sound. An alif with a kasra is I. And an alif with a dhamma is read as O. Very simple. Now we go to another letter. We go to the ba that we had written earlier. So what is the sound of the letter ba itself? The sound is b, just like the B sound in English. So when we combine the sound b with the fatha that gives a vowel sound of a, we get ba. We have b plus a, we get ba. The sound of the ba gets the fatha, so we say ba. Now when we put the kasra under the ba, remember the kasra gives an I sound, so we say bi. The dhamma gives an O sound, so when the dhamma is on the letter ba, we say bo. See, when it has the fatha, we say ba. When it has the kasra, we say bi. And when it has a dhamma, we say bo. Let's try another letter. Here we have the letter jim. The sound of the letter jim, it's just like the English J. The sound is j. So when we add a fatha to it, we say ja. When we add a kasra to it, we say j. And when we add a dhamma to it, we say jo. Jim with fatha is ja. Jim with kasra is j. Jim with dhamma is jo. It's very simple. You take the sound of the letter, add the sound of the vowel to it, and you read them together. Ja, j, jo. Very easy. And all it takes to get used to it is just lots of practice. So now we're going to practice a few more letters. Here we have which letter? Yes, this is the letter Dal. What is the sound of the Dal itself? The sound of the consonant is D, D. So when we take the sound D and we add each one of these vowels, Ah with the fatha, A with the kasra, and O with the dhamma, what do we get? We take the Dal and add an Ah vowel sound to it, we get Da. When we add an A kasra sound to it, we get De. And when we add the dhamma that gives a O sound, we get Do. So dal with fatha is da, dal with kasra is de, dal with dhamma is pronounced as do. Da, de, do. Now we have the letter lam. Take a couple seconds and try to figure it out yourself. What is the sound of the lam? L, just like the English L. So if we add a fatha to it, what are we going to say? Yes, we say la. When we add a kasra to it, what do we say? Le. When we add a dhamma to it, what do we say? Lo. Very simple. The sound L, when you add a fatha becomes la. When you add the kasra becomes le. When you add the dhamma becomes lo. And here we have the meme. We'll do the next few very quickly because you've gotten practice so far. Now you can figure it out very quickly. What's the sound of the meme? So now when we add an a sound, an a sound, an o sound to it, how are we going to read it? Meme with fatha becomes ma. Meme with kasra becomes me. Meme with dhamma becomes mo. Ma, me, mo. Next letter we have the letter ya. And what's the sound of the letter ya when it's a consonant? It is pronounced y, just like the y in English. So we have with the fatha becomes ya. With the kasra becomes ye. And with the dhamma becomes yo. So we have ya, ye, yo. Very simple. Now if you add the fatha, the kasra, or dhamma to any other letter of the alphabet, then it's going to give you the same results. So let's do a quick recap. There are 3 short vowels in Arabic. Each short vowel has a special name. Fatha, kasra, dhamma. The fatha goes on top of a letter, like this is the dash. This dash is the fatha, goes on top of a letter, and it gives the letter an ah sound. So when we add it to the ba, it becomes ba. The kasra goes under a letter. It's this mark that you see under the ba, and it gives the letter an eh sound. So when we add it to this ba, it becomes be. And the dhamma goes on top of a letter. It's this small waw that goes on top of a letter, and it gives the letter an oh sound. So when we add it to this ba, it becomes bo. So that is the conclusion of our lesson for tonight.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا ونبينا ومولانا أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد وعلى آله الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين، لا سيما بقية الله في الأراضين، روحي وأرواح العالمين له الفداء. أما بعد. Continuing our discussion on the exploration of the Holy Quran, we've reached this point where we can talk somewhat about Tafsirul Quran. What is intended by Tafsir, which we can translate into commentary of Quran or explanation of Quran. What is intended by the Tafsir of the Holy Quran? Firstly, it's necessary for us to become a bit familiar with the foundation of these terms that are used for these sciences. So we see that the word tafsir means to remove the veil from the face. So it's to, meaning is to removal of the veil from the face. And it also means to make clear. Certainly by removing the veil from the face becomes clear for us. The Arabic language, and I repeatedly mention the meaning of certain Arabic words in relation to our topic of discussion or relation to the Holy Quran, because these play a very important role in our understanding of Quran and Hadith and the objective and teachings of Islam. So, for instance, as is stated in the book Al-Mufradat, Arabic uses the word safar and fasar, safara and fasara. These two words, which are similar in spelling, both consist of a fa, sin, and a ra. Fasara, safara. Their meaning is similar too. Fasara means to remove, or I should say to show, to bring to the open, to bring to light, to show intellectual, rational meanings which are outside of the five senses. And safara means to show external things, those things that can be seen or sensed with the five senses. For instance, when somebody looks in the mirror shows their appearance. This is safara, but fasara is inner meaning, inner realities, intellectual, rational matters and meanings. So we said that tafsir means to remove the veil from the face to make clear. We have a question. Does the Quran have a veil? Does the Quran have a veil over its face that requires removal? This Quran, in other words, how can the Holy Quran, which is nur, light, clear speech, have a veil over its face which requires removal? As Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, قَدْ جَاءَكُم مِّنَ اللَّهِ نُورٌ وَكِتَابٌ مُبِينٌ. Verily, the Quran, which is light and a clear book, has come to you from Allah. In another place, the Quran says, Ya ayyuhan nas, qad ja'akum burhanun min rabbikum wa anzalna ilaykum nuran mubina. O people, verily the burhan, that clear light, has come from your Lord to you, and He has revealed for you the light which is mubin, very clear, doesn't have any defect or covering. So this Quran, which is light and clear speech, does it have a veil over it, over its face, that we say needs removal through tafsir? This is an important question for us. And the answer is very simple. In reality, it is we who have this veil over the face, this covering over our minds and hearts, not the Quran. The science of tafsir When we say we do tafsir of the Quran, explanation of the Quran, it explains these realities to us. We're the ones whose hearts and thought process, our understanding is covered. And this removes the covering before our hearts, before our thoughts and minds, from our minds, so that we can see this light of the Quran, so that we can hear this clear speech of the Quran. These, in other words, these coverings must be removed from the faces of our minds and thought process, so that we can see the message of the Quran. This is the intent and the meaning of tafsir of Quran. From another perspective, the Quran doesn't only have one feature, that universal general feature that we get from its wording and sentence structure. It has many features which reveal themselves to hardworking, sincere scholars and researchers who are searching and thirsty for the truth. And to each one, it reveals to the level of their capacity and potential. And it is only the Holy Prophet of Islam and his Ahlul Bayt that it has revealed all of its feature to, because they have the complete potential and capacity to understand the entire Quran in all of its facets, in all of its features, in all of its aspects. In the language of the ahadith, these features are called butun. If you recall, we talked about the zahir and the batin of the Quran, the exterior and the internal aspects, the exterior or superficial or meaning of the ayat, the verses, and the inner in-depth meanings, which is called butun, requires us that we research and study the Quran deeply, but with pure intention. This is another aspect of how we can benefit and understand the Quran. As you know, and you've repeated, I'm sure many times in your life, as the Quran says, Alif Lam Mim Dhalika al-Kitabu la rayba fihi hudan lil-muttaqin. There isn't one way of studying the Quran as we study other sciences and subjects. Meaning that way where we go and we learn all of these different sciences, we learn the Arabic language, we read the books of Tafsir, we read other books that are related to the Quran, namely books in Arabic logic, grammar, syntax, in Arabic grammar, syntax, we study logic and other topics, history and so forth, the teachings of the Imams and the Holy Prophet of Islam, sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wasallam, and so forth, that we learn in an academic manner what the Quran is trying to teach us. This is one way. But the difference between the Holy Quran and other books, all other books, is in this manner. ذَلِكَ الْكِتَابُ لَا رَيْبَ فِيهِ هُدًى لِلْمُتَّقِينَ. There's an aspect of the Quran that we can discover through taqwa. The purer we become, meaning our hearts, the more taqwa we develop, meaning that we strive to carry out the commands of Allah. We strive to refrain from those things which He has forbidden. In our daily lives, day and night, our routine is such. Those things that are highly recommended, we try to incorporate them in our lives as time and our schedules allow. Those things that are doubtful or those things that are discouraged, we try to keep away from them as much as possible. And in purifying our souls and developing this taqwa and this consciousness of Allah, this essence or spirit of obeying Allah in every aspect, carrying out His commands and refraining from His carrying out those things that He has prohibited, we also become familiar and better understand the Holy Quran. Allah inspires meanings and features, butun of the Quran in our hearts because of our righteous way of life as well. So the study of the Quran has an academic aspect, which is highly important, but just as important, the study of the Quran has a spiritual aspect. There's many times when people are not to that level academically, scholarly, yet their spirituality is in a high level, and they come to the realization of many of the haqa'iq and realities that are taught in the Quran, where scholars have struggled to reach those same realities and teachings. So this is very important for us to keep in mind. The studying of the Quran, exploration of the Quran, as we have been doing academically these nights of the holy month of Ramadan. Next to it, we're also doing it, inshallah, spiritually, namely by keeping the fast of the holy month of Ramadan and keep trying to develop taqwa during this holy month. Shahr Ramadan, alladhi unzila fihi al-Quran, that this month is the month where the Quran was revealed. Perhaps this is an indication also. The purpose of it to be revealed in the month of Ramadan is because of that spiritual level, that higher spiritual level that people usually have, believers usually have during this month. They can benefit more from the Holy Quran. So having said that, the commentary and explanation of the Quran, which we call Tafsir, is because we need it explained to us. Through this Tafsir, our ignorance, lack of understanding, improper conclusions, prejudices, and a list of other mental and intellectual shortcomings are removed, allowing us to see the Quran's light clearer. From this, we come to the conclusion that Tafsir al-Quran is vital for our growth and guidance. But unfortunately, most of us are unaware and careless in regards to it. In reality, we are careless in regards to even reciting the Quran. How many days does the Quran sit on the shelves in our homes before we go and even open it? If we don't take time to read the Quran, or the apps that we have on our phones, how many times do we open it to read about it? How much importance do we give to the basic things about the Holy Quran, so that we should consider tafsir of the Quran as well? This is a terrible situation that we have placed ourselves, and we will not succeed in this world nor the hereafter unless we make a change. And the perfect time to change that is this month of the Quran and this month, this holy month of Ramadan. That we make a commitment to ourselves, a very true commitment, that we will start giving the Quran a more important place in our lives. And perhaps one of the reasons why the reward of simply reciting the Quran during the holy month of Ramadan for each ayah is equal to one completion of the Quran is that in this month of training, Allah wants us to train ourselves to become more familiar with the Quran, to build a habit of reciting the Quran and making the Quran a very important part of our lives. And inshallah, after the month of Ramadan, we continue doing so. We continue doing so. And inshallah, that leads to us becoming familiar with the tafsir, a commentary and explanation of the Holy Quran. So we come to the next point in relation to the Quran, and we will make these very brief so that we have some more time for the Q&A. What are the methods of the tafsir of the Quran? As a whole, we could say there's two types of tafsir. One is naqli and one is aqli. Naqli refers to the tafsir of the Quran by the Quran itself, or the tafsir of the Quran by authentic narrations, the authentic sunnah of the Holy Prophet of Islam and his Ahlul Bayt, alayhi wa alayhim as-salam. And aqli means that we use intellectual and rational certainties into understanding and the explanation of the Quran and tafsir of the Quran. So we said, from this we come to the conclusion that there's three methods. One is the tafsir of the Quran by the Quran. What does that mean? That one ayah of the Quran explains another ayah, for instance. This type of tafsir of Quran by Quran has several categories. A is where it takes something that is ijmal, concise, and one ayah is ijmal, it's concise. The other ayah comes and mentions some of its details. A very simple example for us to keep this in mind is salah. For instance, the Quran says, وَأَقِمُّ الصَّلَاةِ, and establish the prayer. Then you have other verses of the Quran that come and tell us about the times of the 5 daily prayers, for instance, Fajr, Dhuhr, Asr, Maghrib, and Isha, and when they could be performed. So this is taking something that is concise and given more detail about it. One verse of the Quran does tafsir of another part of the Quran. Another type is that something is stated ijmalan, as a whole. It mentions the topic very briefly, and another ayah of the Quran comes and sheds light on that matter. It does tabyin or bayan for the other ayah. So this is called ijmal wa tabyin. What does that mean? For example, in Surah Baqarah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Khatamallahu ala qulubihim. Allah places a seal on the hearts of the kuffar and the munafiqeen and the hypocrites, after which they can never bring about iman. They can never have faith afterwards when they reach that level. So what does that mean? So another ayah, for instance, in the Quran in Surah An-Nisa, it explains this. How does this happen? Allah says, Bal taba Allahu alayha bikufrihim fala yu'minuna illa qalila. Verily, Allah places the seal, stamps their hearts, covers their hearts. Why? Because of their kufr, their disbelief, their rejection of the truth over and over and over again. The prophets came, they rejected. The heavenly books came, they rejected. The imams taught them, they rejected. The light was shown to them, they rejected. The truth was revealed to them, they rejected over and over and over again. So when a person does this, the natural condition of the human heart, meaning that the human soul, is that it becomes habitual until it closes off. and it's completely covered. ختم الله على قلوبهم. The other ayah comes and it explains this matter even more and how it happens. The third type of tafsir of the Quran from the Quran is called umum wa khusus. Umum is general. The Quran for instance, mentions a general statement in one ayah. For instance, يَوْمَ لَا بَيْءٌ فِيهِ وَلَا خُلَّةٌ وَلَا شَفَاعَةٌ. Talking about the day of judgment in Surah Baqarah, Allah says there is no friendship, there is no commerce where you can buy yourself into paradise or anything. And there is no intercession except with the permission of Allah. Another ayah comes and it explains that. So another, for instance, this friendship, the Quran says in another surah, in Surah Zukhruf, Al-akhillau yawma idhin ba'dhum li ba'dhin adu illa al-muttaqin. Verily, those people who are friends in this world, some of them are enemies to others, meaning they're enemies of each other on the day of judgment. The best friends in this world on the day of judgment, they're enemies to each other. So it goes and explains that there is no friendship on that day. You can't expect any help. Can you give me some of your prayer? Can you give me some of your fasting? Can you take this sin away from me? Can you help me? Those friends that help each other on a regular basis in this world, in the next world, the hereafter, there's none of that. They're enemies to each other. They don't want to see one another, let alone help one another. Then the Quran goes and continues that there is no friendship, yes, except illa al-muttaqun, illa al-muttaqin, those who have taqwa, iman, they are still friends in the hereafter. They worry about each other. They try to assist each other. Even in some cases, they do intercession for one another on the day of judgment. So these were examples of the Quran, tafsir of the Quran with the Quran. Another example of tafsir of the Quran is tafsir of the Quran by authentic sunnah, meaning the statements, the actions, and those things that the Holy Prophet and his Ahlul Bayt confirmed and attested to, meaning an action was performed in front of him, they stayed silent, or they confirmed it either through silence or their speech. Or someone said something to them and they confirmed it by staying silent and not saying, because the imams are not like us. Their responsibility is that if someone states something wrong in front of them, they must correct that person. So one of the great examples of tafsir of the Quran by the narrations, and this is perhaps one of the most important and the mostly used methods of tafsir of the Quran in the history of Islam, is that we refer to the authentic narrations in order to understand the intent of the verses of the Quran. Is in relation to the ayah in Surah Al-Imran, فَمَنْ هَاجَّكَ مِنْ بَعْدِ مَا جَاءَكَ مِنَ الْعِلْمِ فَقُلْ تَعَالَوْا نَدْعُ أَبْنَاءَنَا وَأَبْنَاءَكُمْ وَنِسَاءَنَا وَنِسَاءَكُمْ وَأَنفُسَنَا وَأَنفُسَكُمْ. So this ayah mubahila, who is abna'ana, who is nisa'ana, who is anfusana, we read from the ahadith from the Holy Prophet, the Sunnah of the Prophet and his Ahlul Bayt, that abna'ana is Hassan and Hussein alayhim salam. Nisa'ana is Saida Zahra salamullah alayha, and anfusana is Amir al-Mu'mineen Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salam. We understand the tafsir of the Quran through the Sunnah of the Prophet and his Ahlul Bayt, authentic Sunnah, not fabricated Sunnah. That's important to keep. The other type we said is tafsir of the Quran through aql, meaning logical and rational certainties, not the things that we imagine. There's another type of tafsir of the Quran in relation to that, and that's doing tafsir of the Quran based on our opinion. And that is one of the most serious sins according to Islam and the riwayat, the narrations. One of the most serious sins. to say, oh, well, I think the Quran means such and such by it. No. Where is your proof, your foundation? Our opinions are worthless, especially in relation to the Holy Quran. This is the word of Allah, not my opinion or your opinion. Tafsir bil-Ra'i, the most dangerous and unfortunately the most commonplace form of tafsir. That we want to explain the verses of the Quran based on our own wishes and desires and opinions and prejudices and party affiliations and whatnot. No, this is completely haram. One of the greatest sins in relation to the Quran and Islam that we can imagine. But tafsir bil-aql, to use those rational intellectual certainties that are clear, no one can deny. For instance, when we say the Quran says Qul huwallahu ahad, Allah is ahad, we understand that. We understand completely. Ahad, He's one. We know that Allah cannot be many. This is an intellectual, logical certainty. Or for instance, you know, when you say 2 times 2 is 4, it's clear. Or injustice is bad, justice is good, kindness is good, selfishness is bad, truth is good, lying is bad. All of these certainties, and many like them, which are much deeper, but we don't have the time to get into those. We understand and do tafsir of the Quran based on these as well. That 4th type, which we said is from opinion, is the worst method of approaching the tafsir of the Quran. Inshallah, we'll leave this discussion here. If we have time in the coming nights, we will mention a few more words in relation to the tafsir of the Quran and a few other topics. But I think we are, inshallah, at that stage where we can start our discussion on the tafsir of Surah Al-Fatiha in a night, in 1 or 2 more nights, by the permission and will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Walhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen.
Ahsan Sayyid, Jazakumullah. Thank you very much. Alhamdulillah. So we have some questions. One pertains to one of the points that you made earlier in the discussion about there being basically, in one sense, 2 aspects to the tafsir of the Quran, one being the academic and the other one being spiritual self-purification that one should undertake when trying to perform the tafsir of the Quran. So, therefore, for the person who wants to find a tafsir of the Quran to learn from, I want to find a tafsir that someone has written, I want to learn from it because I don't have the knowledge of the Quran myself. So, in doing so, is it necessary for me to search for an author, a mufassir who is known as being pious, so that I can trust this tafsir?
It's very necessary, I think, that if we are going to study the Quran, and that mufassir we should know is someone who has fear of Allah, someone who is a student of the Quran, someone who doesn't want to force their opinions on the Quran. And honestly, the best way that we can make sure of this not happening, somebody giving us their opinion in relation to the Quran, rather than what's the Quran actually saying itself, is this matter of taqwa and spirituality. So that's a very necessary aspect in us trying to find, increase or learn about the tafsir of the Quran, is that we should find those individuals who are known for their piety, and we can be certain that they don't want to misguide us or corrupt us or to promote their own agendas by these books that they have written in the explanation of the Holy Quran.
And likewise, on the other side of the same coin, should then we be cautioned from easily accepting the interpretation of those who, not to offend anyone, but those who would be known as being other than pious? And if we are to make this distinction, then how would you answer someone who says, well, who are you to judge someone as pious or non-pious in this pursuit?
It's a it's a little tricky, but generally speaking, if we know that a person strives to stay away from committing major sins, strives to perform their wajibat, they don't try to harm others, but rather uh, they're always trying to help others. When we interact with them or when we witness them interacting with others, we see that they have a good akhlaq and they're constantly trying to be good and do good to others. It's a good general way of telling that a person is pious. However, we cannot know 100% for sure. But when it comes to reading books, also we see that some people, some authors, you can tell their intellectual piety, their academic piety, that they are willing to bring all of the different viewpoints. They're willing to admit when they've made a mistake. They're willing to admit that their viewpoint is not as uh, precise as someone else's viewpoint. When they, for instance, mention something and it's not from their own selves and they learned it from someone else, whether that person is their opponent or a friend, they mention that so and so said this and I learned so from so and so, or I brought this. So we see academic piety as well from reading articles and books and even watching lectures and whatnot. So if we see that in a person, in an author, then we can develop some sort of confidence that this person is pious and we can trust them. In other words, they try to bring all of the aspects in it, and they don't just base on their own viewpoint, their own opinion, or their own personalities. That's very important to keep. And at the end of the day, even if it's a person who is not pious or completely uh, a hypocrite or even a kafir, we can still learn from them if we apply our reasoning to it. And when we get something, we examine it. So this is the law that we have to apply to everything. When we hear something, we have to think about it. We have to research it and to see if it's true. And then when somebody proves themselves as trustworthy over and over again, then we can have confidence that, yeah, this person is someone that I can take what they say and I don't have to reject it. But when somebody constantly proves themselves as unreliable, the same holds true there.
Jazakallah. We have a question. Someone is asking if you could please explain who are the inhabitants of the heights, Ashab al-A'raf, as mentioned in the Surah al-A'raf. So I believe they're referring to verses, there's a passage, verse, وَبَيْنَهُمَا حِجَابٌ وَعَلَى الْأَعْرَافِ رِجَالٌ يَعْرِفُونَ كُلًّا بِسِيمَاهُمْ. And then it's mentioned in verse 48 as well, وَنَادَى أَصْحَابُ الْأَعْرَافِ رِجَالٌ يَعْرِفُونَهُم بِسِيمَاهُم. So the people of the heights.
The people of Ashab al-A'raf, that on the day of judgment there is a high place, and the Ashab al-A'raf in that field of resurrection will be there, and people will see them and recognize them. And according to the riwayat, that's the A'imma alayhim as-salam, the Ahlul Bayt.
Jazakumullah. So we have one question that I think can be answered quickly and one that'll take a couple more seconds. The question is, can you perform qada, missed prayers, on someone else's behalf if you have, if you owe qada prayers of your own? If I have missed prayers of my own, can I pray missed prayers on behalf of someone else?
With prayer, if you have qada yourself, you can pray for someone else. You can even do mustahab prayers for yourself or someone else. So if you have missed prayers yourself, obviously the better course of action is to make up your own, then, or along with offering prayers for other people, that you make up your own as well. So we have to take that seriously. But this leads us to an important point about fasting. However, with fasting, it's completely different. If we have missed fasts of ourselves, either we were traveling or we were sick during the month of Ramadan and we couldn't do it, and we haven't made those up, we cannot do any recommended fasts, and we cannot do the qada of someone else either. For instance, say, one of our parents or our parents passed away and they have missed fasts. So we want to make it up for them. No, with fast, we can make up their prayers with having missed prayers. We cannot make up missed fasts with having missed fasts on our own. That's something we have to keep in mind.
Jazakallah. So another question is it better to perform prayers back to back, meaning combining Dhuhr and Asr, or combining Maghrib and Isha, or is it better to pray at 5 separate times? Is it better to pray 5 prayers in 3 times or 5 prayers in 5 separate times?
Theoretically, it's better to pray the 5 separate times, but practically it's better to do Asr after Dhuhr, Isha after Maghrib, because we have 2 types of Maghrib, for example. And by mentioning this example, the others become clear. There is one Maghrib which is based on the schedule of the time of day. And then we have one Maghrib which is Shar'an Maghrib, or I should say one Isha that is based on the time of the day. And we have one Isha which is Isha Shar'i. So one is a natural time of Isha that people know, and one is the time for Isha prayer Shar'an. The Isha prayer Shar'an comes after that amount of time which it takes to perform the Maghrib Salah. So if the Salah takes 3 minutes to perform, the 4th minute is when the time for Isha begins. So there's the Isha Shar'i, and then there's the Isha Tabi'i. The Isha Shar'i is right after the time of Maghrib prayer is done. So the 3-4 minutes that it might take, it becomes Isha for the prayer. But the Isha for the natural Isha that comes throughout the day and night, that's something different. And this applies for Dhuhr and Asr as well.
Jazakallah, Sayyid. You have time for one more question, inshallah?
Yeah, inshallah, one more.
Okay, inshallah. So this one is asking, and you could see it in the chat room as well. It says, can you elaborate on the authentic sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam? The brothers of Ahlul Sunnah have the 6 collections, whereas our 4 major collections are a compilation of hadith from the Prophet and his Ahlul Bayt. Are there any collections of the Prophet's Sunnah which we, meaning from the school of Ahlul Bayt, attest to being authentic? They say essentially a Nahjul Balagha, but for the Prophet.
So we will discuss the ahadith and the sunnah in more detail, inshallah, in the later weeks of this holy month of Ramadan. That's our topic, exploration of Quran and hadith. But briefly to state that authentic meaning in the Sunni school of thought is different than in the school that follows the Ahlul Bayt. For instance, you have Sahih Sita amongst the Sunni school of thought, meaning that these books are considered reliable. Whatever hadith is from them is considered reliable. We have authentic books that we call too. We call them Kutub al-Arba'a. For instance, Al-Kafi, Man la Yahduruhu al-Faqih, so At-Tahdhib, and Al-Istibsar. These 4 books, we consider them reliable books of hadith. However, the way what we consider reliable is that from all of the books of hadith, they may contain the most reliable collections of hadith. They may contain the most reliable hadith within them, but everything that's in these books is not reliable. So therefore, next to each hadith, we examine the chain of narrators. And if we find that the chain of narrators is authentic and reliable, then we consider that hadith to be authentic or reliable. So our viewpoint of reliable is something different. So do we have any books where we completely consider reliable other than the Quran? No. But do we have books that we consider reliable as a general statement, that they are good, reliable books? but we don't accept everything from them. We accept them after they pass the test for the chain of narrators. Yes. So we have these 4 books, specifically from the Holy Prophet of Islam, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, because we accept the Prophet of Islam and his Ahlul Bayt. Our collection of ahadith is a mixture of the Prophet and what the Ahlul Bayt said. It's not just, for instance, simply what the Prophet has said or so. Later on, other scholars have come and take these principal primary sources and written other books, for instance, where it's a collection from Imam Ali alayhi salam, like Nahjul Balagha. There's another one they called Nahjul Fasaha, which is a collection of hadith from the Holy Prophet. But we can't say Nahjul Fasaha is completely reliable. Again, it must go through the test of the chain of narrators.
Jazakallah. So I think we can sneak in just one final last question, inshallah. This asks, are there any available tafsir from Shia scholars besides the Mir Ahmad Ali Naghapuyat translation with the commentary that it has with it?
So
I'm sorry, I'm assuming they're saying that in English.
In English, yeah, in English. So there's a translation of Al-Mizan by Allama Tabatabai, which I think by now has been completed. There's also a translation of Tafsir Namuna by Sheikh Makarim Shirazi, and I think it goes under the light of the Quran. Although in terms of translation and there's a lot of grammatical errors and so forth. However, the tafsir itself is a good tafsir, and it is in English, and there's work being done now by some scholars and so forth who are trying to translate other tafsir into English as well. So these 2 are good in terms of the content. There is some issue with the language, with the English translation. It's not up to the highest standards, but we can still benefit from them. Inshallah, I hope that's the last question.
Jazakumullah, Sayyid.
Jazakumullah khairan.
We'll see you tomorrow, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum.
Inshallah, fi aman.